Heartbreak can feel like your entire world is ending. It is a universal pain, a deep ache that makes you question everything. But what if you had access to an ancient operating system for your mind, one specifically designed to navigate this exact kind of chaos? That system is Stoicism. Far from being about suppressing feelings, it is a practical philosophy built on resilience and inner peace. By the end of this video, you will have 25 concrete Stoic strategies to not just survive a breakup, but to emerge from it more grounded and strong than you were before. We will explore how to transform pain into fuel and why the most powerful step you can take involves loving your fate. What does it truly mean to be the calm in the center of your own emotional storm? The single most powerful tool Stoicism offers is a simple, brutal, and liberating distinction. It is called the dichotomy of control. At its heart, it asks you to sort every single thing in your life into one of two categories. The first category contains everything you have complete command over. This is a surprisingly short list. It includes your own judgments, your choices, your values, your efforts, and your reactions. That is it. The second, much larger category contains everything else. The actions of your ex-partner, their feelings, their words, their decisions to stay or leave. The past, which is already written, the opinions of mutual friends, the random events of life that seem to conspire against you, these are all outside your control. When a breakup hits, your mind instinctively tries to control the uncontrollable. You replay conversations, searching for a magic phrase you could have said to change the outcome. You analyze their social media, trying to decipher their emotional state. You wish you could turn back time. This is where the anxiety multiplies. You are pouring all of your precious energy into a bucket with a hole in the bottom. The Stoic shift is to stop clutching at the hole. Instead, you deliberately turn your attention to the short list, the things you actually govern. You cannot control their decision to end the relationship. But you can control how you interpret that event. You can choose the narrative. Is this a story of personal failure, or is it a story of an ending that makes space for a new beginning? You cannot control the flood of sadness, but you can control whether you sit with it respectfully or numb it with destructive habits. You cannot make them miss you, but you can control showing up for your own life with dignity today. This practice is not a one-time decision. It is a moment-by-moment recalibration. Every time you feel that familiar tug of worry about what they are doing or thinking, you pause. You ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, and it almost always is, you consciously release your mental grip on it. You literally say to yourself, this is not my province. This act of release is not passive. It is an active redirection of power. The energy you are wasting on trying to change the unchangeable is now freed up. You can pour it into the short list. You can use it to write in a journal, to go for a walk, to call a supportive friend, to do one small thing that makes your immediate environment better. This is how you begin to rebuild your foundation, not on the shifting sand of another person's choices, but on the solid ground of your own agency. By focusing only on what is yours to command, you stop fighting ghosts and start building something real. This distinction becomes your lifeline in the storm of a breakup. Let us make it practical. You cannot control the fact they ended things. That decision belongs to them, and it is firmly in the category of things outside your command. Trying to reverse it is like trying to command the tide not to come in. You will exhaust yourself and still get wet, but your response to that incoming tide. That is entirely yours. You can choose to stand there, soaked and miserable, shaking your fist at the ocean, or you can choose to walk up to the higher ground of your own values. The higher ground is built from small, deliberate actions. You cannot control the sudden memory that hits you when a certain song plays, but you can control whether you let it loop on repeat or you change the station. You cannot control the pang of loneliness at 7 p.m., but you can control whether you scroll through old photos for an hour or you call a friend and ask them to meet for coffee. Here is a powerful, tangible example. Your phone holds a museum of your past, hundreds of text threads, photos, voice notes. You cannot control that those memories exist. But you can control your access to them. Deleting old texts or archiving photos is not an act of erasing the past or pretending you did not care. It is a profound act of redirecting your focus. It is you saying, this history is real, but my present peace is more important. I am moving this from the center of my attention to the periphery, because constantly revisiting it is a choice to live in a place I no longer belong. Another example, you cannot control the hollow feeling in your chest when you wake up alone. That sadness is a valid guest and you should let it in. But you can control how long it stays and what it does in your house. Wallowing is when you pull the curtains closed, cancel your plans, and let that sadness dictate your entire day. The Stoic alternative is to acknowledge the feeling. You say to yourself, yes, I feel immense sadness right now, and then you make a choice governed by your own agency. You put on your shoes and go for a 20-minute walk. You do not have to want to. You simply do it because you are in charge of your actions, not your temporary emotions. That walk is a statement. It tells your nervous system that while the heart is grieving, the body is still living. It proves to yourself in a direct, physical way that you are still the author of your days. This is the daily practice of the dichotomy. It transforms philosophy from an idea into a series of tiny, empowering decisions. Each time you choose your action over your reaction, you reinforce the foundation. You are not waiting for the pain to leave before you live. You are living deliberately, right through it, one controlled choice at a time. And this practice of conscious choice leads directly to the next essential Stoic skill, one that prevents you from magnifying your suffering tenfold. The most radical shift in perspective Stoicism offers is summed up in two Latin words, amor fati. It means to love your fate. This is not about putting on a fake smile and pretending the breakup is wonderful. It is far deeper. It is the decision to see everything that happens, especially the painful, unwanted things, as necessary threads in the fabric of your life. The end of a relationship feels like a tear in that fabric. Amor fati asks you to trust that even this tear has a purpose. It is the raw material from which a stronger, more intricate pattern will be woven. To love your fate is to stop fighting the reality of what is. The relationship is over, that is the fact. You can spend your days in bitter resistance, replaying a million what-ifs, or you can begin the work of acceptance. Acceptance is not surrender. It is not saying the pain does not matter. It is saying this happened. It is part of my story now. And because it is part of my story, I will find a way to integrate it, to learn from it, and yes, even to be grateful for the role it plays. Think of your life as a book you are co-authoring with the universe. The breakup is not a plot hole or a printing error. It is a major plot twist, a devastating one for the character, yes. But from the author's perspective, it is the event that forces the protagonist to grow, to change direction, to discover strengths they never knew they had. Amor fati is choosing to adopt that author's perspective on your own life. You look at this painful chapter and you say, this is necessary. Without this ending, the next chapter, perhaps a chapter of profound self-discovery or a more aligned love, could never begin. This mindset transforms resistance into curiosity. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me, you begin to ask, what is this trying to teach me? What door is closing so that a more correct one can open? The pain of loss becomes the fuel for growth. When you view the breakup not as a random tragedy but as a pivotal, purposeful event, you drain the poison of resentment. You stop seeing your ex as the villain of your story and start seeing the situation as a teacher. Perhaps it taught you about your own boundaries or what you truly value in a partner, or where you were neglecting your own happiness. Loving your fate means embracing the lesson, however harsh the teacher was. This practice dramatically reduces suffering. psychological pain is often just reality plus our resistance to it. The initial hurt of a loss is one thing. The months of anger, regret, and wishing things were different is where we create most of our own misery. Amor fati removes the fuel for that secondary suffering. You stop adding your own narrative of injustice on top of the factual event. You simply meet the fact and then you ask, given that this is true, what is the best possible way forward? This is how you build a life not in spite of your past but because of it. The breakup becomes the stone against which you sharpen your character. It is the fire that tempers your resilience. To love your fate is to finally make peace with your own history, and in doing so, you unlock a profound sense of inner freedom. You are no longer a victim of circumstance, but a student of your own experience. And with this foundation of acceptance, you are ready to examine the stories you have been telling yourself, because often, our deepest wounds are not from the event itself, but from the meaning we attach to it. The stories we tell ourselves after a breakup are often the source of our deepest anguish. We craft narratives of betrayal, of personal inadequacy, of a future forever dimmed. Stoicism offers a powerful tool to disarm these painful stories before they ever take hold. It is called negative visualization or premeditatio malorum, which translates to the premeditation of evils. This sounds bleak, but its purpose is the opposite of despair. It is a mental vaccine against the shock of loss. The exercise is simple in structure but profound in effect. You set aside a few quiet moments, not in a state of panic, but in a state of calm reflection. You then consciously bring to mind the people and things you cherish most. And you vividly imagine losing them. You picture the conversation where a partner says it is over. You feel the emptiness of their side of the bed. You walk through the silence of a home that once echoed with shared laughter. You do not do this to torture yourself. You do it to inoculate yourself. By voluntarily visiting this possibility in your imagination, you accomplish two transformative things. First, you rob the actual event of its element of traumatic surprise. If a breakup does occur, it is not a bolt from a blue sky you never considered. It is a landscape you have already, in a sense, visited and mapped. This does not eliminate the pain, but it prevents the additional, debilitating shock of the utterly unforeseen. You have already felt the emotional contours of this loss in a safe, controlled space. When reality mirrors your contemplation, you are not starting from zero. You have a resilience you built in advance. Second, and perhaps more beautiful, this practice radically deepens your appreciation for what you have right now. By mentally rehearsing the absence of your partner, you suddenly see their presence with new, vivid clarity. That casual good morning text, the sound of their key in the door, the way they laugh at their own joke, these ordinary moments become extraordinary gifts. Negative visualization trains you to hold love with an open hand. You appreciate the person deeply, but you consciously acknowledge they are not a permanent possession. This awareness kills complacency. It encourages you to be more present, more kind, more engaged today, because you have intimately felt what tomorrow without them might be like. For someone going through a breakup, this practice can be applied in reverse, and it is equally powerful. You can use it to process the loss you have already endured. Sit quietly and vividly imagine that the breakup never happened. Picture an alternate reality where you are still together, perfectly happy. Then, gently bring yourself back to the present reality. This conscious comparison does not deepen the wound. Instead, it can highlight the ways the relationship may not have been serving your highest good. It allows you to acknowledge the beauty of what was, while also seeing the necessity of what is. This Stoic exercise dismantles the fantasy of permanence. It whispers a crucial truth that everything you love is on loan. This is not a reason for fear, but a reason for profound gratitude and courageous love in the present moment. When you stop clinging to the illusion of forever, you start living fully inside the precious, fleeting now. And this mindful presence in the now is the very soil from which your next essential skill grows, the ability to observe your own thoughts without being swept away by them. That practice of holding love with an open hand points to a deeper, universal truth the Stoics held close. Everything ends. This is the core of memento mori, the ancient reminder to remember you must die. At first glance, this seems morbid, even frightening, but when applied to the pain of a breakup, it becomes one of the most liberating perspectives you can adopt. Memento mori is not about dwelling on death in a fearful way. It is about remembering the impermanent nature of all things, your life, your youth, your possessions, and yes, every single relationship you will ever have are all on a temporary lease. Nothing is granted to you forever. When a relationship ends, it is not an exception to the rule of life. It is the rule. All things, the joyful and the painful, are passing through. This realization is a powerful antidote to the specific agony of a breakup, which often whispers a terrible lie that this pain will last forever, that you will feel this hollow, this lost for the rest of your days. Memento mori gently corrects that distortion. It says this feeling, like every feeling before it, is transient. It has a beginning, a middle, and it will have an end. The sharp, unbearable ache you feel today will soften. The constant mental replay will slow. The future you cannot imagine beyond this person will gradually come into view. This pain is not your permanent state. It is a season, and seasons change. By remembering that all things are fleeting, you grant yourself permission to stop fighting the natural cycle of grief. You allow the sadness to be there, knowing it is a visitor, not a new tenant. This mindset also reshapes how you view the relationship itself. It was always temporary. Whether it lasted 6 months or 6 years, it had a beginning and was always going to have an ending. Viewing it through this lens can drain the bitterness from a breakup. You can look back and think, for that chapter of my life we walked together. The chapter is now closed, as all chapters must be. This does not diminish the love that was there. In fact, it can heighten its beauty because you loved fully, knowing on some level that it was not a permanent possession. You loved a mortal thing, which is the only kind of thing there is to love. This perspective also becomes an urgent call to action for your present moment. If everything is temporary, then your time and energy are your most precious, non-renewable resources. Memento mori asks, given that your life and your current state of heart are finite, how will you use this day? Will you spend it orbiting a past you cannot change, or will you invest it in the life that is still yours to live? The answer becomes clear. It encourages you to stop postponing your own happiness, waiting for the pain to fully vanish before you engage with the world. You engage now precisely because time is limited. You call the friend today, you start the hobby today, you take the quiet walk and notice the sunlight through the leaves today. You live fully, not in spite of the ending, but because of it. Every ending is a memento mori for a specific phase of your life. The end of the relationship is the death of that particular future you had imagined. And just as remembering physical mortality can make you live more bravely, remembering the mortality of a relationship can help you grieve it more completely, then turn with clearer eyes toward the life that remains. This acceptance of impermanence is the soil in which a crucial, active form of resilience takes root, one that moves you from passive endurance to deliberate rebuilding. There is a world of difference between thinking and writing. Thoughts swirl in our minds like a chaotic storm, but the moment you put pen to paper, something magical happens. The storm begins to organize. This is the profound power of the Stoic practice of journaling, a tool used by the Emperor Marcus Aurelius himself. His personal writings, later called meditations, were not meant for publication. They were his nightly ritual, a private dialogue where he processed the immense pressures of ruling an empire, of loss, and of his own human flaws. You can use this same exact practice to navigate the empire of your own broken heart. The goal is not to create beautiful prose, it is to create clarity. Start with the raw, unfiltered truth. Let the page hold everything you are too afraid to say out loud. Write down the anger, the betrayal, the loneliness, the pathetic hope that they will call. Do not judge these feelings as they spill out. The page is a non-judgmental witness. This first step is about emotional drainage, getting the poison out of your system and into a container you can close. Once the raw emotion is on the page, the real Stoic work begins. Now you shift from the heart to the head. You read back what you have written, not as the person feeling it, but as a calm, rational observer. This is where you ask the journal the hard questions. You look at a sentence like, "I am completely worthless without them." Your rational observer asks, is that a fact, or is it a feeling masquerading as a fact? What evidence do I have of my own worth, independent of any relationship? You see a line like, "I will never be happy again." The observer gently counters, is that a prediction or a current emotion? Have I not been happy before, even in moments of being alone? This process of analysis is like holding a muddy, turbulent river up to the light. You begin to see the distinct elements swirling within it, separating the objective events from the painful stories you have attached to them. The event is, they ended the relationship. The story you added might be, therefore I am unlovable. Journaling helps you untangle the two. Finally, you move to extraction. From the emotional chaos and the rational analysis, what is the lesson? What is this pain trying to teach you? Maybe it is revealing a pattern where you abandon your own interests for a partner. Perhaps it is highlighting a deep fear of being alone that you need to befriend. Or it could simply be teaching you the brutal, beautiful lesson that you can survive a heart you thought would kill you. Write that lesson down clearly. I learned that my happiness cannot be outsourced. I learned that grief, while heavy, does not break me. This active processing transforms you from a passive victim of your emotions into an active student of your own experience. You are no longer just feeling the weather of your mind. You are learning to read its maps. Do this nightly. It takes only 10 minutes, but it builds a fortress of self-awareness brick by brick. Over time, you will not just be writing about the breakup. You will be writing your way out of it, discovering a strength and wisdom on the page that was inside you all along. And as you build this self-awareness, you create the space to ask a pivotal question about the very nature of your suffering. Your journal reveals a deeper question beneath the pain. Who are you becoming through all of this? The Stoics had a single word for the ultimate goal of human life, arete. This is often translated as virtue or excellence, but it is more precise to think of it as excellence of character. It is the unwavering commitment to being the best version of a human being you can be, regardless of external circumstances. And right now, your circumstances are profoundly difficult. This is not a setback to your character, it is the raw material for it. A breakup feels intensely personal, a verdict on your worth. But Stoicism flips this entirely. The end of a relationship is not a report card on who you are. It is a gymnasium for who you can choose to be. Your worth is not determined by someone else's choice to stay or go. Your worth is demonstrated by how you conduct yourself in the aftermath. This is where you separate your inherent value from the outcome of a single connection. Think of it like this: a mighty oak tree has inherent worth, strength, and beauty. A storm comes and tears a large branch away. Does the storm's action diminish the oak's essential nature as a strong, beautiful tree? No, the storm is an external event. The oak's response to heal around the wound and continue growing is what demonstrates its nature. You are the oak. The breakup is the storm. The question is not, why did the storm hit me? The question is, how will I grow now? This is your opportunity to actively cultivate the cardinal Stoic virtues with a focus you may never have had before. Let us make them practical. Courage is not the absence of fear or sadness. It is moving forward with dignity despite them. It is the courage to feel the full weight of grief without collapsing into self-pity. It is the courage to delete the contact, to walk into a room alone, to say out loud, I am hurting and I am still here. Temperance is self-governance. It is the choice not to drown your feelings in a bottle or numb them with endless scrolling. It is choosing the nourishing meal over the junk food, the early night over the self-destructive bender. It is treating your body and mind with the respect you would show a cherished friend in pain. Justice, in the Stoic sense, extends to how you treat yourself and others. It is the justice of not vilifying your ex, of allowing them their humanity even as you protect your peace. More importantly, it is the justice of giving yourself what you truly need: patience, compassion, and the space to heal, rather than the harsh judgment you might be tempted to heap upon yourself. Every single day, you are faced with micro-choices that define your character. When the memory surfaces, do you indulge it for an hour or gently redirect your attention? When loneliness whispers that you are unlovable, do you agree or do you counter with evidence of other loves in your life? When anger flares, do you let it dictate a text you will regret, or do you channel it into 20 push-ups or a furious cleaning of your kitchen? Each time you choose the path aligned with courage, temperance, and justice, you are not just getting through the day, you are sculpting your character. You are proving to yourself in the most tangible way possible that you are stronger than what happened to you. So tonight, as you sit with your journal, ask the central question. Not why did they leave, but what kind of person do I want to be through this? Do I want to be bitter, or do I want to be resilient? Do I want to be defined by my loss, or do I want to be defined by my response? Your answer, lived out in 100 small choices, is how you build a self-respect that no future breakup can ever shake. This self-respect becomes your anchor, and it allows you to see the past with a new, unclouded clarity, free from the stories that keep you trapped. Your mind is a sacred space you must now fiercely protect. In the weeks following a breakup, your phone can feel less like a tool and more like an open wound. Every notification is a potential landmine. Every scroll through social media is a curated highlight reel of lives moving forward while yours feels stuck. The Stoics called these constant inputs external impressions, and they warned that an untended mind bombarded by them becomes a turbulent sea. Your task is not to monitor the world, but to guard the gates of your own perception. This is why a deliberate digital detox is not just a self-care tip, it is a profound act of philosophical hygiene. You are removing the constant drip feed of comparison, memory triggers, and the false urgency of online validation to create the quiet necessary for real healing. Think of your emotional state after a breakup as a deep, still pool trying to settle. Every time you check their profile, every time you see a post from a happy couple, every time you post something hoping for a specific reaction, you are throwing a stone into that pool. The ripples of anxiety, jealousy, and longing prevent the sediment from ever settling. You cannot find clarity in muddy water. The detox is your decision to stop throwing stones. This means unfollowing, muting, or even temporarily deactivating. It is not about them, it is about you. It is the conscious choice to say, for my own peace, I need to make this person and the digital world that connects me to them disappear from my daily view. You are not erasing history, you are creating a boundary for your present sanity. The validation seeking is another trap. Posting a carefully crafted photo to show how well you are doing, waiting for likes, secretly hoping they see it. This is the opposite of Stoic groundedness. It outsources your sense of worth to the fleeting opinions of an audience. It keeps you mentally tethered to the very person you are trying to move beyond. True strength is built in the quiet, unseen moments, not in the performative broadcast. By going quiet online, you turn the volume down on the world's noise and turn the volume up on your own inner voice. What do you hear when the notifications stop? That is where the real work begins. This created space is not empty, it is fertile ground. It is the space where you can finally hear your own thoughts without commentary, where you can pick up that journal without distraction, where you can simply sit with a cup of tea and feel the weight of the day without an immediate digital escape. This quiet is where you reconnect with yourself, not as half of a former pair, but as a whole person rediscovering their own rhythms. Start small. Designate the first hour after waking and the last hour before bed as screen-free. Notice the difference in your mental climate. That peace you guard so carefully becomes the foundation for everything that comes next, including how you reframe the very story of the relationship itself. The quiet you have created within yourself opens a doorway to an even greater perspective. There is a powerful Stoic exercise designed for moments when pain feels all-consuming, when your personal world has collapsed into the narrow confines of a single loss. It is called the view from above. Close your eyes for a moment, not to escape but to expand. Begin by picturing the room you are in right now. See its walls, the furniture, the objects that fill your immediate space. Now, in your mind's eye, pull the camera back. See the building you are in, then the street, then your entire neighborhood from a bird's eye view. Keep going. See your city as a patchwork of lights and roads, then your country as a shape on a globe. Now see the planet itself, a beautiful blue and white marble hanging in the vast, silent blackness of space. Watch it spin, a solitary sphere orbiting a medium-sized star in the quiet suburbs of an ordinary galaxy, one of billions. This is the view from above. It is a deliberate mental zoom out from the tight close-up of your heartache to the widest possible lens of existence. In this cosmic frame, your life, your entire history, and this recent breakup occupy a single, fleeting point. This is not meant to make your feelings seem trivial or unimportant. Your pain is real and valid. The purpose is to provide context, to place your personal storm inside the vast, calm weather system of the universe. From this altitude, the intense emotions that feel like permanent landmarks are revealed for what they are, passing weather patterns. The all-consuming anger you felt yesterday is a cloud drifting across the continent of your life. The profound sadness that greets you each morning is a season in one small region of your long journey. This perspective offers a profound and instant sense of relief. It is the emotional equivalent of stepping out of a stuffy, overheated room into the cool, open air of a mountaintop. The problems do not disappear, but they regain their true, manageable size. You realize that this pain, while deeply personal, is also a universal human experience. For thousands of years on this very same planet, people have felt this exact ache. Empires have risen and fallen, continents have drifted, stars have been born and died, and the human heart has always broken and always healed. You are participating in something ancient and shared, not a unique and catastrophic failure. This exercise directly counters the brain's tendency to catastrophize after a loss. Your mind, in its distress, shouts that this is the worst thing that has ever happened, that your future is ruined. The view from above whispers back, look at the scale of things, see the infinite tapestry of which this is but one thread. Your story is still being woven. This practice also reshapes your relationship with time. A breakup often makes you feel stuck, as if you are trapped in a single, terrible moment that will never end. The cosmic view reminds you of time's immense, flowing river. The relationship existed along a certain stretch of that river. Now the current has carried you around a bend. New landscapes, unseen from your old position, are waiting ahead. The person you were with and the person you were with them are already receding into the past, becoming part of the history of the shore. You are still in the boat and the river flows on. How do you use this in a moment of acute pain, when you feel a wave of longing or jealousy crash over you? Pause. Breathe instead of fighting the feeling. Invite the view from above. See your body sitting in your chair. See your house on your street. See your city on the curve of the earth. Hold that image of our tiny, shared world in the star-filled dark. In that silence, your personal tempest is held within a profound and peaceful stillness. It does not negate the storm, but it gives you the steady ground of the universe to stand on while you wait for it to pass. This mental shift is a form of inner sovereignty. You are no longer a prisoner in the tiny room of your immediate circumstances. You have the key to a balcony that looks out over eternity, and from that balcony you can see that your life, with all its joy and its heartbreak, is a brief, precious, and incredibly brave thing to be living. This expansive view naturally leads you to a more grounded question, one about the very nature of the thoughts that have been haunting you. That cosmic balcony view gives you a profound sense of calm, but it is not meant for passive observation. The Stoics saw your emotions, even the painful ones, not as enemies to be destroyed, but as raw fuel. They believed a feeling is simply energy waiting for a direction. Right now, your sadness, your anger, your restless confusion, they are all packets of pure potential energy. The crucial question is, what will you build with them? Will you let that fuel sit and burn a hole in your spirit, or will you channel it into a project that strengthens your foundation? This is the pivot from passive suffering to constructive action. The end of a relationship, in a very real sense, frees up an enormous amount of psychic bandwidth. Think of all the mental energy you spent planning dates, navigating conflicts, sharing your daily life, and worrying about the future of that bond. That energy has not vanished, it has been released back to you. You now have a surplus of attention, time, and emotional capacity that was previously invested elsewhere. This is your capital. The Stoic move is to immediately reinvest it, not in another person, but in the most important project you will ever manage, yourself. Grief can feel paralyzing, like a heavy blanket pinning you to the bed. Action is how you throw that blanket off, one corner at a time. You do not need to feel motivated. In fact, you will not. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. The discipline comes from a simple decision. When the wave of sadness hits at 3 p.m., you acknowledge it. You say, "I feel this," and then you make a pre-committed choice. Instead of scrolling through old photos for the 10th time, you put on your workout shoes. You are not going to the gym to get revenge or to become someone new. You are going because physical motion metabolizes emotional stagnation. Every rep, every step, every mile is a physical declaration that you are still in charge of your body, even when your heart feels adrift. This is not about punishment, it is about channeling. That angry energy you feel toward your ex or toward the situation is potent. Rather than letting it curdle into bitterness, you can transmute it. Use that fiery feeling to finally clean out the garage you have been avoiding. Use that restless energy to sign up for the cooking class or the coding workshop you always talked about doing someday. Use the quiet hours you would have spent with them to read the books on your shelf, to practice an instrument, to work on a side project that advances your career. The goal is not to achieve perfection or instant mastery. The goal is motion. It is to prove to yourself through tangible, observable results that you are not broken. You are a force that can still create, build, and grow. Every completed workout, every learned chord, every organized closet is a brick in the new structure of your life. These actions become evidence against the story that you are helpless. They are small, daily victories that accumulate into a renewed sense of agency. You begin to identify not as someone who was left, but as someone who is building. This process also reshapes your relationship with time itself. The empty evenings that once yawned ahead, filled with loneliness, now become scheduled blocks for your own development. That freed-up energy finds a purpose, and slowly, imperceptibly at first, your identity starts to shift. Your self-worth becomes tied less to a past relationship and more to your present discipline, your growing skills, your visible progress. You are no longer waiting to heal in order to live. You are living actively, and the healing is a natural byproduct of that engaged forward motion. This constructive channeling does more than just fill time. It rebuilds the very core of who you are, piece by deliberate piece. Your mind is a master storyteller, and in the silence after a breakup, its production goes into overdrive. It spins epic tales of tragedy and doom. I will never find love like that again. This proves I am fundamentally unlovable. My life is ruined. Every future will be lonely. This is not thinking. This is catastrophizing. It is taking a single painful event and writing an entire saga of permanent failure around it. The Stoic intervention here is not to argue with the story, but to first become a neutral observer of the storyteller itself. Imagine your thoughts are like clouds drifting across the sky of your awareness. You are not the clouds, you are the sky, the vast, still space that holds them. Your job is not to stop the clouds from forming, but to notice them without getting swept up in their storm. When the thought arrives, I will be alone forever, you do not fight it or believe it. You simply note its presence. Ah, there is the catastrophic forecast cloud. You see it for what it is, a passing mental weather pattern, not a statement of fact. This creates a crucial gap between the thought and your reaction. In that gap lies your freedom. Once you can observe the thought impartially, you can then subject it to the cold light of reason. This is where you move from observer to investigator. You take the dramatic narrative and you cross-examine it. The claim, "I will never love again," is that a fact? No. It is a prediction about an unknown future, and it is an absolute one at that. The facts are, I loved once, I am capable of love, the future is unwritten. The claim, "it was all my fault," is that a fact? Relationships are complex systems involving two whole people. The bare facts might be, I made mistakes, they made mistakes, our needs and paths diverged. The story of total blame is a simplification that creates unnecessary guilt. Stick to the bare, unadorned facts of the situation. They ended the relationship. I feel deep sadness. We shared a chapter of life that is now closed. That is the ground truth. Everything else, the meaning, the global predictions, the sweeping judgments, are layers of interpretation your mind has added. Peeling those layers away is how you regain mental clarity. For example, you see a photo of them smiling with friends. The bare fact is, a person I know is in a photograph with other people. The story you might instantly tell is, they have moved on completely and are happier without me, which means our time together meant nothing. See how many leaps that story contains. It assumes you know their internal state from a single image. It assumes happiness is a zero-sum game. It invalidates the entire past. The Stoic practice is to arrest that narrative chain at the very first step. The fact is, the photo exists. My story about it is just that, a story. I do not have to buy the ticket for that mental movie. This does not mean you become an emotionless robot. It means you stop compounding your primary pain with a secondary, self-inflicted drama. The initial hurt of loss is enough to bear. You do not need to add the weight of a doomed future on top of it. By catching the catastrophic story and returning to the simple facts, you contain the emotional fire. You prevent a single spark from turning into a forest fire of despair. This disciplined focus on what is actually true, right now, in this moment, is the bedrock of mental peace. It clears the fog of drama so you can see the path at your feet, the next single step you are actually capable of taking. And that next step is almost always found in the present, in the simple, physical reality of your own body and the world immediately around you. Gratitude after a heartbreak feels like a foreign language, one your heart has no interest in learning. It goes against every instinct, yet this is precisely where a profound Stoic alchemy takes place. It is the practice of finding genuine thanks for the experience itself, for the entire arc of the relationship, including its painful end. This is not about slapping a happy sticker on a wound. It is about a deep, deliberate recalibration of your focus from what was taken to what was given and what is being built within you now. The Roman philosopher Seneca wrote that difficulties are not misfortunes but training for the soul. Your breakup is the most intense personal training regimen you have ever enrolled in. The gratitude comes from recognizing the value of the training, even as your muscles scream in protest. Start with the concrete. Take out your journal and make 2 lists. The first list is for the lessons. What did this relationship teach you about yourself? Perhaps it taught you your own capacity for deep patience, or conversely, it revealed a boundary you never knew you needed to set. Maybe it showed you the kind of partnership that truly fuels you, or the kind that slowly drains your spirit. It might have taught you practical skills like how to communicate during a conflict or how to compromise. Every lesson, even the painful ones, is a piece of wisdom you now carry forward. It is a tool for your future. Write them down. I learned that I am resilient enough to survive rejection. I learned that shared values matter more than shared hobbies. I learned to listen more deeply. The second list is for the gifts. This is for the pure, good moments untainted by the ending. The inside jokes that still make you smile, the trip you took together where you felt completely at peace, the way they supported you during a hard week at work. The simple comfort of watching a movie side by side. These moments were real. They were gifts of joy, connection, and experience. To be grateful for them is to honor their truth. It affirms that the time was not wasted, it was lived. By listing these gifts, you reclaim them. You declare that the beauty of those moments belongs to you forever as part of your life story, regardless of how the story later changed. Finally, practice gratitude for the strength being forged in you right now. This is the hardest but most transformative part. You can be thankful for your own tears because they prove your capacity to care deeply. You can be thankful for the quiet nights alone because they are teaching you the difference between loneliness and your own company. You can be thankful for the overwhelming urge to reach out that you resisted because that resistance is a new muscle of self-respect growing stronger each day. This gratitude is forward-looking. It says, I am thankful for this pain because it is forcing me to become someone wiser, kinder, and more resilient than I was before. This aligns perfectly with Seneca's idea. The soul is being trained, the difficulty is the curriculum. Your conscious gratitude is you showing up for class, ready to learn. This shift from a narrative of loss to one of gain changes everything. It moves you from seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance to seeing yourself as a student of life, collecting invaluable lessons and memories. The relationship is no longer a closed door marked failure. It is a rich chapter in the book of your becoming, full of both beautiful passages and necessary conflict that drove the plot forward. When you can look back at the entire experience and honestly feel a sense of thanks for what it was and what it is making of you, you have achieved a level of emotional freedom that no future loss can ever take away. This grateful perspective naturally quiets the mind's tendency to ruminate on lack and instead opens it to a subtle but powerful sense of abundance, an awareness that you have been given something of value even in the leaving. Gratitude reveals a quiet truth you may have forgotten while part of a pair. You are already whole. The Stoic ideal of self-sufficiency or autarkeia is not about becoming a hermit or never desiring companionship. It is the profound understanding that your peace, your worth, and your core contentment must be generated from within. A breakup acts like a sudden power outage, plunging you into darkness and revealing just how many of your emotional lights were plugged into someone else's outlet. This moment of darkness is not a curse, it is your chance to find your own generator. What does it truly mean to have enough all by yourself? The ancient Stoics practiced a radical exercise to answer this. They would periodically lie as if they had lost everything, not to torment themselves but to prove a point. They would sleep on the floor instead of their bed, eat simple food, wear plain clothes. They were testing their own resilience, asking, if all external comforts were stripped away, what remains? Is my happiness intact? You are in the middle of that exact test right now. The external comfort of that specific relationship has been removed. The question hanging in the air is, what remains of you? This is your opportunity to define with brutal honesty what enough looks like for you, independent of any partner. Start with the physical and practical. What is the minimum foundation you need to feel stable and secure? A clean, safe place to sleep, nutritious food. Your health, a source of income that covers your needs. These are your base camp. Many people in the blur of a relationship outsource parts of this foundation. Maybe you relied on their cooking, their financial contribution, their social planning. The rebuilding of self-sufficiency begins by reclaiming these territories. Cook a meal for one and savor it. Create a budget that is yours alone. Spend a Saturday doing exactly what you want with no need to consult or compromise. These are not sad acts of solitude, they are declarations of sovereignty. You are proving to yourself that you can meet your own basic needs. The deeper work, however, is emotional. What does emotional enough feel like? It is the ability to sit with yourself in a quiet room and not feel a desperate urge to escape. It is the capacity to celebrate your own small wins without requiring someone else's applause to make them real. It is knowing that your mood is your own responsibility, not something for a partner to fix or regulate. After a breakup, you might notice a hollow space where their validation used to live. You posted a photo and instinctively waited for their like. You had a hard day and felt lost because you could not vent to them. This hollowness is the map of your dependency. Your task is not to fill that space with another person, but to build your own internal validation system. How? By becoming your own most reliable witness. When you accomplish something, pause and genuinely acknowledge it to yourself. When you are struggling, offer yourself the same compassionate words you would offer a dear friend. This internal dialogue becomes your new source of emotional fuel. Ultimately, defining enough is about separating your wants from your needs. You may want passionate romance, deep companionship, shared adventures. These are beautiful human desires, but your fundamental needs for peace, self-respect, and purpose must be met by you first. A partner should be a welcome addition to a life that is already complete, not the missing piece that makes you complete. So ask yourself tonight, if you never entered another romantic relationship again, what would a good, meaningful, contented life look like? What would you do with your days? Who would you spend time with? What projects would fill your hands and your heart? Sketch that life out in your journal. That vision is your blueprint for self-sufficiency. It is not a plan for loneliness, it is a plan for wholeness. When you build a life where you are enough, you change the entire dynamic of future love. You stop looking for someone to rescue you from yourself, and you start looking for someone to journey with, two complete people choosing to share their already abundant worlds. The end of this relationship is the invitation to finally, fully become that complete person. And from this place of inner abundance, you can begin to see the past with a clarity that is free from both resentment and delusion. That wholeness you are building is forged in the fire of what you once saw as pure loss. There is a central Stoic mantra that turns conventional thinking on its head: the obstacle is the way. Your breakup is not a detour from your path or a roadblock placed unfairly in your way. It is the path. The pain, the loneliness, the deep confusion, these are not barriers preventing you from living a good life. They are the raw materials, the very terrain you must cross to build the resilience, wisdom, and character you seek. An obstacle to a Stoic is not something to be avoided or merely endured. It is something to be used. It is fuel. Think of a blacksmith. He needs fire to shape the metal. The fire is not the enemy of the sword. It is the essential element that makes the transformation possible. Without the intense heat, the metal remains brittle, unformed, weak. Your heartache is that fire. It is uncomfortable, it is searing, but it is what makes you malleable. It is what allows you to be reshaped into something stronger, sharper, and more purposeful than you were before. How do you practically use this obstacle as fuel? First, you must stop seeing it as a personal injustice and start seeing it as neutral terrain. The end of the relationship is a fact. The story you attach to that fact, that it ruined your life, is what creates the suffering. The obstacle is the way asks you to drop the story and look directly at the fact. What is actually here? A vast amount of free time, a deep well of emotional energy. A cleared space in your life where a relationship once lived. These are not curses, they are resources. Now, what will you build with them? The loneliness is not a prison sentence, it is a workshop. In that quiet, you have the space to hear your own thoughts without interruption, to ask yourself what you truly want, not what you compromised for. That pain is not a sign of weakness, it is a signal of your capacity to care, and that caring can be redirected. Channel it into caring for yourself with the same intensity. Use the restless energy of grief to finally launch that project you kept putting off for someday. Use the tears as a solvent to wash away old, naive ideas about love and life, making room for more mature, resilient beliefs. Every time you feel a surge of sadness, you have a choice. You can let it pull you into a spiral of passivity, or you can harness its energy. That surge is motivation. It is the fuel to write a page in your journal, to go for a run and physically push through the feeling, to reach out and strengthen a different relationship with a friend or family member. The obstacle provides the friction, and friction creates traction. Your feet cannot gain purchase on a perfectly smooth, icy surface. You need some grit to move forward. The gritty, uncomfortable feelings of rejection and loss are what give you the traction to propel yourself into a new phase of growth. Without this friction, you would simply stay where you are, comfortable but unchanged. The obstacle forces movement, and movement is life. This mindset transforms you from a passive recipient of circumstance into an active alchemist. You are taking the base metal of heartbreak and, through your own conscious efforts, transmuting it into gold, the gold of self-knowledge, of inner strength, of a character that has been tested and knows its own depth. The way through the pain is not around it, but directly through its center. You walk straight into the loneliness and furnish it as a home for your own spirit. You acknowledge the confusion and use it as a prompt to ask better, clearer questions about what you want next. The obstacle is not in your way, it is the way. And each step you take on this difficult path is a step toward becoming someone unshakable, someone who knows that no future loss can ever destroy them, because they have learned to use the very wreckage to build a stronger foundation. The words you speak in the quiet of your own mind are not merely descriptions, they are architects. They construct the very reality you inhabit. The Stoics were meticulous about language because they understood this profound power. In the raw aftermath of a breakup, your internal monologue can become a brutal, unforgiving critic. You might hear yourself think, "My life is ruined. I am completely broken, I will never recover." These are not neutral observations, they are declarations, they are sentences you are passing on your own future. When you say "my life is ruined," you are not describing a feeling, you are issuing a verdict. You are building a prison of permanence around a temporary, though deeply painful, experience. The Stoic practice is to become a careful editor of this internal script. It starts with catching the catastrophic language as it arises. Notice the absolutist words, never, always, ruined, over. These are the bricks of your mental prison. Your task is to gently, firmly replace them with language that is both truthful and empowering. Instead of "my life is ruined," you say, "I am experiencing a challenging transition." This is not positive thinking or denial. It is precise thinking. Is your entire life, from birth to this moment and all potential future moments, truly ruined? No, a significant chapter has ended and the transition is intensely difficult. That is the factual ground. The phrase "challenging transition" does something remarkable. It acknowledges the pain without cementing it into your identity. It frames the experience as a process, a movement from one state to another, rather than a fixed, catastrophic endpoint. It contains an implicit understanding that transitions by their nature have a beginning, a middle, and an end. This linguistic shift is a reclaiming of agency. You move from being a victim of a ruined life to being a navigator of a difficult passage. Apply this to other common thoughts. Swap "I am broken" for "I am deeply hurt, but I am healing." Trade "they destroyed me" for "their actions caused me great pain, and I am learning to rebuild." Replace "I will always be alone" with "I feel lonely right now, and I am taking steps to connect with my own life and others." Each revised statement does two things. First, it accurately reflects your current emotional weather without forecasting a permanent climate of despair. Second, it leaves a door open to your own ability to respond and adapt. The words "I am healing" imply an active process you are engaged in. The phrase "learning to rebuild" positions you as a student and a builder, not just rubble. This is not semantic trickery, it is cognitive hygiene. Your brain believes what you tell it most often. If you feed it a steady diet of catastrophic language, it will orient your entire nervous system toward threat, helplessness, and despair. If you feed it language that is honest yet forward-leaning, it begins to search for resources, for pathways, for evidence of your own resilience. Try this tonight. In your journal, write down the 3 harshest sentences your mind has repeated today. Then, beneath each one, rewrite it. Strip out the absolutism and the identity-level claims. Anchor it in the present feeling and the factual circumstance. Read the new sentences aloud. Feel the subtle but powerful difference in your body. The first set constricts your chest. The second, while still acknowledging pain, allows for a breath. By minding your language, you are not pretending the storm isn't real. You are changing the narrative from a story about a ship that is forever sunk to a story about a skilled captain navigating through a terrible storm. The words you choose become the helm in your hands, giving you direction when the waves feel overwhelming. Solitude is not the same as loneliness. Loneliness is an ache, a feeling of absence when you crave connection. Solitude, in the Stoic tradition, is a deliberate choice. It is a sanctuary you enter to find a connection that has nothing to do with anyone else. After a breakup, your social world often feels scrambled. Friends offer advice, family weighs in, and the noise of well-meaning opinions can drown out the one voice you most need to hear, your own. This is why philosophers like Seneca actively scheduled time for solitude. He called it a retreat into oneself, a way to strengthen the inner citadel against the chaos of the outside world. Your mind, after a loss, is that citadel, and it needs quiet to repair its walls. Intentional solitude is how you give it that quiet. This means carving out time, even just 30 minutes a day, where you are truly alone with no distractions. No phone, no podcast, no background television. Just you in a room with your own breathing. It will feel uncomfortable at first. The silence will feel heavy, and your thoughts will rush in like a crowded, noisy committee. This is exactly the point. You are not seeking empty silence. You are seeking the clarity that comes after the committee settles down. In that settled space, you begin to hear your own thoughts, not the echoes of what your ex said, or what your friends think you should do, but your own raw, unfiltered truth. What are you actually feeling beneath the performative sadness or the rehearsed anger? What do you truly want for yourself now that the path you were on has ended? This is not about finding instant answers. It is about reacquainting yourself with the sound of your own inner voice, a voice that may have been muted or negotiated away during the relationship. Solitude is the practice of listening to yourself with the same attentiveness you once gave to a partner. You might sit and simply observe the rise and fall of your chest. You might take a long walk with no destination, letting your feet set the rhythm while your mind untangles its knots. In these moments, you are not running from the pain, you are sitting with it as a respectful witness. You are proving to yourself that you can bear your own company, that you are not a problem to be escaped, but a person to be rediscovered. This practice rebuilds your inner citadel brick by brick. Every minute spent in voluntary, mindful solitude fortifies you against the external chaos of social comparison, unwanted advice, and the relentless pull of the past. It teaches you that your peace is an inside job, generated in quiet rooms and on solitary walks, not found in the validation of another. When you emerge from that silence, the world's noise feels less urgent, less defining. You carry a pocket of calm within you that no external event can easily disrupt. This self-possession becomes your new foundation, and from this quiet center, you can begin to look outward again, not from a place of neediness, but from a place of genuine, grounded choice. Your past is not a graveyard of failures, but a living library of your own resilience. There is a profound Stoic exercise hidden in your own history, waiting to be consulted. Think back not to the happy times before this breakup, but to another period of deep struggle. It might have been a different kind of heartbreak, a family crisis, a financial scare, a period of intense self-doubt or illness. Choose one specific, difficult chapter you have already closed. Now open the book of that memory and read it not for the pain, but for the proof. Your task is to conduct a forensic analysis of your own survival. How did you make it through? What specific strengths did you call upon? Was it a stubborn, quiet courage that made you get out of bed each morning when you wanted to hide? Was it the temperance to avoid a destructive escape and instead face the problem head-on? Perhaps it was the justice of reaching out for help, honoring your need for support. Maybe it was simple, dogged persistence, putting one foot in front of the other long after you felt like stopping. Identify the virtues you employed, even if you did not know their Stoic names at the time. This is not an exercise in nostalgia, it is an evidence-gathering mission. You are collecting irrefutable data points about your own character. The conclusion is undeniable. You have faced a storm before and you navigated through it. You are, by definition, someone who endures. This evidence directly contradicts the story your current pain is telling you. The one that whispers this time is different, this time you will not make it. Your history stands as a silent, powerful witness against that lie. It testifies to your fundamental capacity to heal, to adapt, to persevere. Now bring that evidence into the present. Look at your past self in that memory, weathered and weary but still standing. See the line of continuity between that person and who you are right now. You are not a weaker version of yourself. You are the same person with more experience. The same core that carried you through that old trial is still here, beating in your chest. This practice builds a specific, unshakable form of confidence. It is not a blind optimism that everything will be fine. It is a grounded trust based on your own track record. You have a resume of resilience. You have already passed tests you thought would break you. This current test, as awful as it feels, is simply the next item on that resume. You are not starting from zero. You are building on a foundation of proven strength. So tonight, in your journal, write the story of that past hardship not as a tragedy, but as a case study in your own endurance. Title it How I Survived. List the tools you used, the choices you made, the small ways you cared for yourself. Then, write a short letter from your past self to your present self. What would that battle-scarred, wiser version tell you about this current pain? They would likely not offer empty platitudes. They would probably say, I remember this feeling. It is terrible, and I also remember that it changed, that I changed, and that I found my feet again. You will too, because you already know how. This connection across time turns isolation into continuity. You are not a solitary ship in a new storm. You are a seasoned captain who has already sailed through rough seas and kept the vessel intact. That knowledge alone can steady your hands on the wheel today. Holding a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. The Stoics understood this with perfect clarity. Their concept of justice extended far beyond laws and courts. It was a principle of right action toward others and, crucially, toward oneself. Seeking revenge after a breakup, whether through a spiteful text, a campaign of gossip, or the silent, cold hope for their failure, violates this inner justice. It is a theft of your own peace. The person who wronged you has already moved on, living their life, likely unaware of the storm of resentment you are brewing inside your own mind. You are the only one sitting in the dark, sipping the poison. Why do we crave revenge? Because it creates a fantasy of balance. They caused pain, so we wish to cause pain in return, to make them feel what we feel, to even the scales. The Stoic insight dismantles this entire equation. First, they ask you to understand the other person's action not as a personal attack on your worth, but as a reflection of their own flawed reasoning, their own ignorance of what is truly good. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that when people act unjustly, it is because they are mistaken about what is good and evil. Your ex's decision to leave, or perhaps the manner in which they did it, came from their own limited perspective, their own fears, desires, or confusion. Seeing it this way drains the personal venom from the act. It does not excuse cruelty, but it explains it as a human failing, not a targeted annihilation of your soul. This understanding is the first step toward indifference, which is the Stoic goal. Indifference here does not mean you do not care. It means you have judged the event for what it is, an external action by a fallible person, and you have decided it is not worth your continued emotional investment. You become indifferent to the need for their suffering because you realize your well-being is independent of it. Harboring hatred keeps you psychically chained to them. Every time you mentally rehearse your anger, you are pulling them back into your present moment, giving them free rent in your head. You are allowing them to hurt you not just once, but over and over again, long after they have left the scene. True strength is not in plotting a counterstrike, it is in the quiet decision to drop the rope in a tug of war they are no longer even playing. Moving on is the ultimate revenge, not because it hurts them, but because it demonstrates your total emancipation from their power to affect your inner state. What does this look like in practice? It means when the urge to send a cutting remark flares up, you pause. You ask your journal, what virtue does this action serve? Will it bring me courage, temperance, or justice? The answer is always no. It serves only the phantom of balanced scales. Instead, you channel that fiery energy into an action that serves you. Use the anger to power a workout. Use the desire for justice to write a list of how you will treat your next partner with more integrity. The grudge is a weight you carry so they do not have to. Putting it down is not an act of forgiveness for them, it is an act of profound self-liberation for you. Your peace is the most valuable currency you have. Do not let someone who has already left the building continue to steal it from you day after day. When you release the need for them to pay for what they did, you stop being a creditor in a debt they will never acknowledge. You write it off, and in doing so, you reclaim every ounce of energy that was tied up in collecting. That energy is now yours to invest in building a future where their presence or absence is simply irrelevant. Your body is listening to every story your mind tells. In the silent aftermath of a breakup, that story is often one of collapse, of a heart so heavy it feels like it is pulling your shoulders down and closing your chest. The Stoics, practitioners of a philosophy born in the active life, knew something modern psychology confirms. You cannot think your way into a new state without also moving your way into it. Your physical posture is not just a container for your grief, it is a dialogue with it. When you slump, when you curl inward, you are giving your nervous system a command. You are broadcasting a message of defeat. The body hears this and responds by amplifying the feelings of helplessness and sadness. But this connection is a two-way street. You can use your body to send a different, more powerful message back to your mind. This is not about pretending you are fine. It is about using deliberate physical actions to create the conditions for calmness to take root. Start with the simplest, most accessible tool you have, your breath. In moments of high stress or sudden memory, your breathing becomes shallow and rapid, a signal of panic. By consciously slowing it down, you are speaking directly to your brain's alarm system. Inhale slowly for a count of 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. You are not trying to erase the painful thought. You are changing the physiological environment in which that thought is occurring. You are telling your body, we are not in immediate danger. We can handle this. This simple act of measured breathing is a direct intervention, a lever of control when emotions feel uncontrollable. Next, notice your posture. Are you hunched over your phone, scrolling? Sit up straight, place both feet flat on the floor, roll your shoulders back and down. This is not a military drill, it is a reclamation of space. When you sit or stand with intention, you are embodying dignity. You are physically asserting that while your heart may be wounded, your spirit is not broken. This posture communicates resilience to every part of your being. It literally creates more room in your chest for breath and, metaphorically, more room for perspective. Finally, attend to your voice. In conversations with friends or even in your own self-talk, notice the tone and pace. When upset, we often speak quickly, our words tumbling out in a frantic rush. Make a conscious choice to slow your speech, lower the volume a notch, speak with deliberate calm. This does two things. Externally, it prevents you from saying something in a heated moment that you will regret, a text sent in anger or a call made in desperation. Internally, it is a powerful feedback loop. The act of forming calm, measured sentences forces your mind to organize chaotic emotions into coherent thoughts. You cannot articulate a calm sentence while your mind is truly in a panic. By speaking calmly, you are guiding your mind toward calmness. These actions, posture, breath, and speech are what psychologists call top-down regulation. You are using the body, which you can control in this moment, to influence the mind, which feels adrift. It is a gentle trick, a hack of your own biology. You are not faking it until you make it. You are practicing it until you become it. Each time you straighten your spine when you feel like folding, you are building the muscle of composure. Each time you take a deep breath when a wave of sadness hits, you are proving to yourself that you can ride the wave without drowning. These small, physical victories accumulate. They become evidence that you are not powerless against the storm of your feelings. You have a toolkit, and it is built into the very frame of your body. This embodied calm becomes a sanctuary you can retreat to at any moment, a stillness you carry within you, no matter how turbulent the world outside may feel. There is a library of wisdom built specifically for the broken heart. On a shelf in your own mind, you can place the works of three men who faced exile, betrayal, political turmoil, and their own mortality. Their names are Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius. To read their words now is not an academic exercise. It is to engage in a direct conversation across 2,000 years with guides who have walked this exact path of pain. They offer not vague comfort, but precise, surgical advice for the soul. Start with Epictetus, the former slave who founded a school of philosophy. His central teaching, found in the Discourses and the Enchiridion, is a relentless focus on what is yours to control. In the raw hours after a loss, open to his words, he writes, "It is not events that disturb people, it is their judgments concerning events." Read that sentence slowly. The event is the breakup. Your judgment is the story you tell about it, the meaning you attach to it. Epictetus hands you a knife to cut the chain linking the two. He continues, "When therefore we are hindered or disturbed or grieved, let us never attribute it to others but to ourselves, that is, to our own judgments." This is a shocking, liberating charge. Your grief is yours. Your power to reframe the narrative is also yours. He is not blaming you for hurting. He is empowering you to see where your true agency lies, inside your own perceptions. Next, turn to Seneca, the wealthy advisor to the Emperor Nero, who faced constant political danger and was eventually ordered to take his own life. His letters from a Stoic are like receiving deeply thoughtful, compassionate advice from a worldly uncle. In his letter on consolation, he writes, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." That anxiety about running into your ex, the dread of future loneliness, the catastrophic stories about your future, that is the suffering in imagination. Seneca urges you to confine your pain to the present fact, not the terrifying fiction of what might come. He also offers profound insight on tears. Let your tears flow, but let them also cease. Let deepest sighs be drawn from your breast, but let them also find an end. He gives you permission to grieve fully, but with the crucial understanding that grief, like all things, must have a boundary. It is a process, not a permanent residence. Finally, there is Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the Roman world, who wrote his private reflections in a military camp, worn down by war and the burdens of rule. His Meditations is the journal of a man constantly reminding himself of his principles. Open it to any page. You will find a mind in dialogue with itself, which is exactly what you are doing in your own journal. He writes, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This is the Emperor of Rome, reminding himself that his inner peace is his sovereign territory, untouchable by external chaos. On loss and change, he is direct. Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart. You loved with all your heart. The fate that brought you together has now brought an ending. His instruction is to accept that binding too, not with resentment, but with the same wholehearted acknowledgement of reality. To read these texts is to have a council of the wisest minds sitting with you in your quiet room. Their words are not historical artifacts, they are operational manuals for human resilience. When you feel most alone in your pain, read a single passage from Marcus Aurelius. You are not alone. You are sharing the human condition with an emperor who felt the same weight. When you are tempted to blame your ex for all your suffering, read Epictetus. He will redirect your gaze inward to the only place where change is possible. When you feel your grief is endless, read Seneca. He will grant you the dignity of your tears while quietly pointing toward the horizon where they will end. This is not passive reading, it is an active practice. Keep one of their books by your bed. Underline the sentences that strike you, copy them into your journal. Argue with them in the margins. This is your dialogue with wisdom itself. These men are not offering a magic spell to erase pain. They are offering a compass proven for millennia to navigate through it. Their words become the steady voice in your ear when your own thoughts are a storm, reminding you that heartbreak is not the end of your story, but a demanding and essential chapter in your education for a life well lived. Freedom is a word that feels foreign when your world has just shrunk to the size of a single, aching absence. Yet the Stoic teacher Epictetus, a man who knew the loss of physical freedom as a slave, offers a perspective that can turn your entire experience inside out. He taught that when a relationship ends, you have not lost a partner. What has actually happened is that your freedom has been returned to you. The freedom to direct your life, your time, your energy, and your affection according to your own values without compromise or negotiation is now back in your hands fully and completely. This is not a platitude, it is a factual recalibration of the ledger. For the duration of the relationship, a portion of your personal sovereignty was willingly invested in a shared project. That project has now concluded. The investment has not vanished, it has been liquidated and returned to the investor, which is you. The capital is sitting in your account, waiting for you to decide what to build next. The feeling of loss is real because you are grieving the shared dream, the companionship, the specific future you painted together. But beneath that grief is an underlying structure that has changed. The walls of that particular partnership have come down. You are not standing in a smaller room, you are standing in an open field. The horizon is yours again. This reframing shifts your focus from what is gone to what is now possible. Think of all the tiny negotiations that filled your days. What movie to watch, what restaurant to try, how to spend a Saturday, when to visit family, how to decorate a shared space. Each of those moments involved a subtle, often unconscious delegation of your freedom. Now that delegation is revoked. Every single one of those choices is yours alone to make. This can feel terrifying, like a form of emptiness, but with a slight shift in perspective, that emptiness transforms into pure potential. What does your ideal Saturday look like with no need to consult anyone else's preferences? What hobby did you set aside because it did not fit into the rhythm of the partnership? What friend did you see less often? What personal goal, from fitness to career to creative expression, was quietly backburnered? Your freedom has returned those possibilities to you. They are not gone, they were merely on hold. This is where you move from passive mourning to active reclamation. You get to design a life that is a perfect expression of who you are at this very moment, not a compromise between two different visions. Maybe you fill your space with art they never liked. Maybe you travel to a place they had no interest in seeing. Maybe you spend an entire weekend in silence or in loud music or in deep study with no need to explain or adjust for another person's presence. This is the exciting, tangible power of the returned freedom. It is the freedom of complete self-authorship. You are no longer co-writing a story. You are the sole author of the next chapter, and the genre, the pace, the setting, and the plot twists are entirely up to you. This does not mean you will never share authorship again. It means that when you do, it will be from a place of conscious choice, not from a fear of being alone or an inability to direct your own life. You will choose a partner from a position of abundance because you want to, not because you need to in order to feel whole. The returned freedom is your opportunity to rediscover what wholeness feels like on your own terms. So tonight, instead of listing what you miss, try listing what you can now choose. Write down 3 things you can do this week that are a pure, undiluted expression of your own freedom. It might be as simple as eating dinner at 10 p.m. or spending an entire afternoon reading in a park. Each act is a celebration of your returned sovereignty. It is you saying, "This life is mine to shape." The grief may visit and you will honor it, but you will not let it obscure the vast, open sky that is now unmistakably yours. This conscious embrace of your own autonomy builds a quiet confidence, a knowledge that you are capable of crafting a meaningful life alone, which is the only secure foundation from which to ever build a life with someone else again. Chaos is the enemy of a healing heart. In the void left by a relationship, time loses its shape. Mornings blur into afternoons, evenings stretch into lonely nights, and without the shared rhythms that once structured your days, you can feel adrift on a sea of unstructured emotion. This is where the Stoic commitment to discipline becomes your most practical lifeline. It is time to build a new architecture for your days. A structured daily routine is not about filling every minute to avoid thinking. It is about constructing a scaffold of normalcy around your wounded spirit, so you have something solid to lean on while you heal. Think of your mind and emotions after a breakup as a country after a major earthquake. The old landmarks are gone, the ground feels unstable. A routine is the process of laying down new roads, of establishing safe pathways and reliable supply lines. It provides the stability your psyche desperately needs to begin the work of rebuilding. Start with the foundation, your mornings. How you begin the day sets the tone for everything that follows. Instead of reaching for your phone and plunging into the digital world, or lying in bed replaying old memories, institute a morning reflection. This can be just 5 minutes. Sit up, take 3 deep breaths, and ask yourself 2 simple Stoic questions. What is within my control today, and what virtues will I practice? The first question immediately directs your focus to your own agency, your efforts, your reactions. The second sets an intention, perhaps courage to face a difficult task or temperance in managing your emotions. This brief ritual grounds you before the world's chaos has a chance to sweep you away. Next, plan your activities with intention. This does not mean a packed schedule from dawn to dusk. It means deliberately assigning purpose to blocks of time. For example, from 9 to 10, I will work on my project. From 12 to 1, I will eat lunch away from my desk, perhaps outside. From 4 to 5, I will go for a walk or exercise. The content matters less than the commitment. The act of planning and then following through is a powerful reinforcement of self-trust. It proves to yourself that you are a person who keeps promises, especially the promises you make to yourself. This structure provides a sense of forward motion on days when you feel stuck in the past. Evenings require their own ritual, a gentle winding down. Set a consistent bedtime and a pre-sleep routine. An hour before bed, put away screens. You might read a few pages of Marcus Aurelius, write a brief entry in your journal noting one thing you did well that day, or simply sip a cup of tea in silence. This signals to your nervous system that the day is complete, that it is safe to rest. It creates a boundary between the active day and the vulnerable quiet of night, preventing the endless rumination that can happen in the dark. This new routine serves a profound psychological purpose. It replaces the external structure the relationship provided with an internal one you have designed. Every time you follow your planned schedule, you are exercising your sovereignty. You are making a choice that affirms, "My life is mine to direct." When emotions surge and threaten to overwhelm you, the routine becomes an anchor. You may not feel like going for that walk, but because it is 4 p.m. and 4 p.m. is walk time, you go. The action itself, divorced from fleeting feeling, carries you through the emotional wave. It provides the control you crave in a situation where so much feels uncontrollable. This disciplined framework does not imprison you, it liberates you from the tyranny of chaotic feelings. It creates pockets of predictable peace in an unpredictable internal landscape. Within this structure, healing has the space and consistency it needs to grow. Self-absorption is a natural side effect of grief, a tightening spiral around your own pain. The Stoics offered a direct and counterintuitive escape from this spiral, the deliberate practice of turning outward. The fourth cardinal virtue, justice, extends beyond fairness. It is an active duty to contribute to the common welfare. When your own world feels shattered, the most healing thing you can do is to help mend a small corner of someone else's. This is not about ignoring your feelings or pretending you are fine. It is about using the raw material of your empathy, now heightened by your own suffering, as a bridge back to humanity. Your pain has made you more sensitive to pain in general. That sensitivity is a resource. Direct it outward. Find a local food bank and spend 2 hours sorting donations. Offer to walk a neighbor's dog. Listen, truly listen to a friend who is struggling with their own challenges without turning the conversation back to your own story. In that act of focused attention on another person's need, a subtle alchemy occurs. Your own problems do not disappear, but they regain their true proportion. You are reminded that suffering is a shared human condition, not a unique punishment designed solely for you. Serving others provides an immediate and tangible sense of purpose. Heartbreak can make you feel useless, as if your capacity to love and contribute died with the relationship. Volunteering proves this is a lie. It demonstrates in the most concrete way that you still have value to give, that your presence still matters in the world. You are not just a person who was left, you are a person who can lift someone else up. This external focus is a powerful antidote to the poison of self-pity. Self-pity whispers that your suffering is the most important thing in the world. Helping someone in genuine need shouts back that the world is vast and your own drama is just one story among billions. It grounds you in reality. You might be grieving a lost love, but the person you are serving at a community kitchen is grieving the loss of stability or a home or their health. This is not a competition in suffering, it is an exercise in perspective. It gently corrects the mind's tendency to magnify its own troubles to the exclusion of all else. You step out of the echo chamber of your own thoughts and into the shared, messy, beautiful reality of human interdependence. The action itself is simple, but the philosophical shift is profound. You are practicing the Stoic ideal of seeing yourself as part of a greater whole, a citizen of the world. Your personal tragedy does not absolve you of your duty to that citizenship. It actually deepens your capacity to fulfill it. You understand need more intimately now, so you can meet it more compassionately. This practice also rebuilds your connection to others in a healthy, boundaried way. After a breakup, social interactions can feel fraught, charged with the unspoken question of your emotional state. Volunteering or helping a stranger provides a connection based on a simple, clear task. There is no history, no expectation, just a shared moment of human decency. These small, anonymous acts of goodness rebuild your faith in simple human connection, separate from the complexities of romance. They remind you that you belong to a community, that you are woven into a social fabric that remains strong even when one thread has frayed. So this week, make one commitment that moves your focus from your internal landscape to the external world. Do not do it to feel better, do it because it is a right action. The feeling of purpose, the regained perspective, the quiet pride in your own useful hands and listening heart, these will follow naturally. In helping to bear another's burden, you will find your own suddenly feels lighter, and you remember a fundamental truth: you are not just healing, you are still capable of healing others. Your future self is already waiting for you, a wiser and more grounded version who has already integrated this pain. The Stoics practiced a form of mental time travel not to escape the present, but to give it meaning and direction. This is not wishful thinking, it is a deliberate act of creation. Close your eyes, not to block out the world, but to see with perfect clarity a point 6 months or 1 year from today. See yourself waking up in the morning. Notice the quality of the light in your room, the feeling of the sheets. How do you feel in your body? There is a calmness, a steadiness that was hard to find in the early days of the breakup. The sharp, jagged edges of the grief have softened into a smooth, integrated memory. You get out of bed with a sense of purpose that comes from within, not from the presence or absence of another person. Now see yourself moving through a day in this future. You are meeting a friend for coffee. You laugh, a genuine, unforced sound. The conversation is rich and engaging, and you realize you are fully present, not half lost in a past conversation. Later, you work on a project, something you started months ago as a way to channel your restless energy. You can see the tangible progress, the skills you have built. This future you carries a quiet confidence, a knowledge that you have navigated a profound emotional storm and kept your ship intact. This person is not untouched by the past, but transformed by it. They possess a deeper empathy, a clearer understanding of their own boundaries, and a resilience that feels like a solid floor beneath their feet. They look back on this moment, the you sitting here right now in the midst of the ache, not with pity but with profound respect. They see you as the courageous architect who laid the first stone of their new foundation. This visualization does something remarkable. It reframes your present struggle from a pointless ordeal into a necessary apprenticeship. Every tear you cry now, every difficult choice to get out of bed, every act of self-discipline is not proof of your brokenness. It is the rigorous training required to become that future person. The pain is the tuition you are paying for a degree in your own resilience. Make this exercise concrete. Take out your journal and write a letter from that future self to the you of today. Let them speak. They might say, "I know it hurts right now. I remember the weight of it, the way the silence felt so loud. Thank you. Thank you for not giving up on us. Thank you for choosing the walk over the wallow, for picking up the phone and calling a friend instead of scrolling through old photos. Because you made those hard choices day after day, I am here. I am happy in a way that is my own. I am proud of you. This letter is not a fantasy. It is a contract you are drafting with your own potential. By vividly imagining this future, you create a gravitational pull. Your present actions begin to orient themselves toward making that vision real. When you are faced with a temptation to fall back into old, painful patterns, you can ask, does this choice serve the person I am becoming? Does this action build the future I just envisioned? This practice bridges the gap between philosophy and lived experience. It turns the abstract idea of growth into a specific, desirable destination. You are no longer just moving away from pain, you are moving towards someone you actively want to become. That future self, strong, whole, and at peace, is the most compelling reason of all to endure the necessary steps of today. The timeline of a broken heart does not follow the logic of a calendar. You cannot schedule your healing for the first of next month. Stoicism, for all its emphasis on reason and control, holds a deep and compassionate respect for this truth. The philosophers understood that grief is not a problem to be solved, but a natural process to be lived through. Seneca, in his Letters of Consolation, offers a directive that is both gentle and firm. He writes, "Let your tears flow, but let them also cease." This is the balance at the heart of being grounded. You are not a machine. The pain is real, and the tears are its honest language. To deny them, to bottle them up behind a wall of forced stoicism with a small s, is to betray your own humanity. It creates a pressure that will eventually crack you in far more destructive ways. So you must let the waves come. On a Tuesday afternoon, for no clear reason, a memory might ambush you and your eyes will fill. Let it happen. Sit on the floor of your kitchen and cry. This is not weakness, it is the necessary drainage of a wound. Seneca's permission to let tears flow is an act of profound self-honesty. It is you acknowledging the depth of your care, the reality of your loss. But he does not stop there. The second part of his instruction is the anchor, but let them also cease. This is where the practice of being grounded takes root. Allowing the tears is acceptance. Knowing they must end is agency. The grief has its own timeline, but you are not a passive passenger on this journey. You are the one who, after the wave has crashed and receded, gets up from the kitchen floor, washes your face with cold water, and decides what to do next. This is the critical distinction. Being grounded does not mean being emotionless. It means not being ruled by emotion. It is the difference between feeling a storm and becoming the storm. When you are ruled by grief, it dictates your entire existence. You cancel plans for weeks on end. You neglect your health. You let your responsibilities crumble because the sadness feels too heavy to carry anything else. This is allowing the tears to drown you. The Stoic alternative is to feel the full force of the emotion, to let it wash over you, and then to consciously choose your next action from the small, solid list of things you control. You cry for 20 minutes, then you stand up and make yourself a cup of tea. You feel a crushing loneliness on a Friday night. You let yourself feel it, you journal about it, and then you call a friend just to hear a human voice, or you go see a movie alone, immersing yourself in a different story for a while. You are not suppressing the feeling, you are creating a container for it. The feeling is the water, your values, your commitments to yourself, your daily routine. These are the banks of the river that keep the water from flooding the entire landscape. This respect for the natural timeline prevents the secondary suffering of impatience. You stop berating yourself for not being over it already. You understand that healing is not linear. Some days will feel like progress, others will feel like a slide back into the ache. Both are part of the path. The goal is not to reach a day where you never feel a pang of sadness again. The goal is to reach a day where that sadness is a quiet visitor from the past, not a permanent resident of your present. It sits beside you for a moment, you acknowledge it with a nod, and then you continue with the rich, engaged life you have built in its absence. So grant yourself the grace of the timeline. Do not rush the tears, but also do not build a home for them. Let them flow as they must, and trust that just as surely as they came, they will also, in their own time, find an end. Your strength is not measured by how few tears you shed, but by what you choose to do in the moments between them. This final anchor is the simplest and most profound of them all. The phrase "this too shall pass" is not a modern self-help slogan. Its roots wind deep into ancient wisdom, finding a clear echo in the Stoic acceptance of impermanence. It is the ultimate summary of everything we have explored. Your grief in this very moment feels like a permanent state, a new and terrible climate you are doomed to live within forever. But it is not a climate, it is weather, and all weather changes. The Stoics observed nature not just as poets but as physicists of the soul. They saw the undeniable cycles, the seasons that turn without fail, the river that never stops flowing even when it looks frozen at the surface. Your emotional world obeys these same laws. The intensity you feel right now, whether it is a sharp stabbing loss or a heavy, numb fog, has a beginning, a middle, and it will have an end. This is not a hopeful guess. It is a law of emotional physics. Think of a physical wound. The moment you cut your hand, the pain is immediate and shocking. Over the following hours, it throbs with a persistent, demanding ache. Days later, it itches as it heals. The pain did not last forever. It moved through stages because your body is designed to repair itself. Your psyche possesses that same innate, powerful design for healing. The breakup is the cut. The raw, immediate shock has passed. Now you are in the throbbing stage. The itch of healing, the stage where you slowly regain interest in the world, is still ahead. Trust the design. To believe this too shall pass is to align yourself with reality, not to fight against it with the false belief that your pain is special, unique, and eternal. In your darkest moments, when the other 24 ways feel like distant theories, this one remains accessible. It requires no complex journaling, no philosophical debate. It is a 3-word mantra you can whisper to yourself in the grocery store line when a song comes on, or in the deep silence of 3 a.m. when the bed feels too large. You say it not to dismiss your pain, but to place it within the vast, flowing river of your life. This feeling is a current in the river, not the riverbed itself. The riverbed is your enduring spirit, and it remains, holding all the currents that pass through it. This reminder is your anchor because it is true. Look back on your own life. Remember a past heartbreak, a failure, a period of anxiety that once felt all-consuming. Where is that feeling now? It passed. It transformed. It became a memory, a lesson, a scar that tells a story of survival. The you from that time could not imagine feeling light again, just as the you of this moment may struggle to see it. But the you of the future is already looking back on this chapter with a softer gaze, grateful for the strength it forged. So when the wave crashes over you, do not add to your suffering by fighting the truth of its temporary nature. Instead, breathe into the simple, solid fact, this too shall pass. It always has, it always will. This is the quiet promise at the end of the Stoic path. Not that you will never feel pain, but that no pain, no loss, no storm of the heart gets to stay forever. The dawn always comes, not because it is optimistic, but because it is inevitable. Your job is simply to remember that as you wait for the light, you now hold a complete toolkit for the heart. 25 Stoic strategies are not a magic spell to erase pain overnight. They are a manual for navigation, a set of tools to rebuild your inner world from the foundation up, one deliberate choice at a time. This is not about achieving some perfect, emotionless state. Staying grounded is a daily practice, a commitment to returning to your own center each time life's winds try to knock you off balance. It is the quiet work of choosing your focus, editing your internal story, and moving your body with intention, even on the days you feel least like doing so. The goal is not to never feel the storm, but to become the steady ground that weathers it. So where do you begin? Do not feel you must use all 25 ways at once. Start small. Choose just 1 or 2 that resonated most deeply with you this moment. Perhaps it is the simple act of guarding your digital space, or the nightly ritual of journaling to separate fact from story. Maybe it is the physical practice of posture and breath when a memory hits. Pick one, practice it tomorrow, then practice it again the next day. This is how you build the muscle of resilience, rep by conscious rep. In the comments below, I would love to hear which Stoic way spoke to you most powerfully. Sharing your starting point can inspire others on the same path. If this practical approach to philosophy has been an anchor for you, consider subscribing. We explore more timeless wisdom for modern challenges, turning ancient insight into actionable steps for a calmer, more purposeful life. Your journey of grounding begins not with a grand gesture, but with the next single, steady breath you choose to take.